Bink. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time, if you're here for the first time, to the Nerd Ledger. We are the Nerds. I'm Cage. That's Chair. We are here today. Obviously, we have to talk about X-Men 97, Episode 8, and the Bad Batch Series Finale. But first, I want to introduce the first iteration of a brand new segment, okay?
New segment, new things here at the Nerd Ledger.
Yes, this segment is called Crackhead News.
Oof.
And it's not news about crackheads. This is news, so, like, you have, like, that, like, aunt on Facebook who, like, reposts articles from, like, clearly fabricated news sites and then like tells all her friends, and like you're like, brother, the only way anybody believes this shit is if they're like smoking something, right? And so I know somebody who behaves in this manner, and he sends me the most ridiculous shit you could ever imagine. And this week he was on a roll. He was just sending me thing after thing after thing. And it's not like he's sending me articles. He's sending me literally, this is what's happening. Like, he's telling me the play-by-play of what's happening. And I'm like, none of that is happening. Where are you getting this? Send me a source. And he says, it's on YouTube. I say, yeah, we're on YouTube. And, every time we talk about news, I either bring up an article or I'm reading it from an article. Like, there's a source there. There are legitimate sources for news, for nerd news that you could go to. Superherohype.com, comicbook.com, even comic book resources, which I don't really use. They're fairly legitimate. And most of them, they just yoink their articles from really legitimate sources like The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Vanity Fair, etc., right? So, like, if there's news, it'll be reported in things like that. But instead, he sends me a screenshot of a YouTube video title. And so this week the news is Tatiana Maslany, who plays She-Hulk. She was in the news recently because she was asked about something she said during the actors and writer strikes and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Where she was like on the picket line or whatever, and she said some shit about like Bob Iger's Out of Touch or something, right? Yeah. And she was like, she did an interview and she was asked about it, and I didn't read the whole interview, so I don't have the context, but I what was quoted in headlines was like, she pretty much said like, that's in the heat of the moment where you're on the picket line and you're fighting to make a difference or whatever. Like, I don't think, again, I didn't read it, I don't think she was apologizing. She was just kind of explaining why she said that.
Yeah.
That's what's in the news. What I get is this crackhead telling me that Tatiana Maslany is assembling a legal team to sue Ryan Reynolds because he cut her out of Deadpool 3. What? Like, I said, no, that didn't happen. And he says, I said, can you send me an article that says that? And he said, I don't care. I'm just happy because I hate her. And I'm glad that She-Hulk got canceled. And I was like, well, She-Hulk didn't get canceled. She-Hulk was put out for a season, and they just haven't said if they're going to renew it or do a season 2 or what. It's not really what being canceled is, but sure, if that's your interpretation, they're not doing a season 2, it was canceled. You're happy about that. Whatever. You can go off and tell people it's been canceled. But this, whatever, Tatiana Maslany is suing Ryan Reynolds. So, obviously I do some research because I'm not an idiot. Like, on face value, I know that's false. But yeah, maybe something's out there, right? And I know what people are going to say. Oh, your legitimate news sites, they don't report on rumors. They absolutely do. All the fucking time. You're not going to tell me they don't report on rumors, because we've talked numerous times about the rumors that are put out from Hollywood insiders that aren't named, from every single fucking person that was supposed to be Mr. Fantastic. All those rumors showed up. All of them. We talked about all of them because they're in those news sites that do report legitimate news. They report rumors all the time. Why? Because it gets clicks. Why are people fabricating things on YouTube? Because they're rage baiting and they know they'll get clicks, which will generate revenue for them. That's the only reason they do it. It's not this. It's not crazy. It's not this thing where it's like, hey guys, why would you ever report a rumor or fake news? Well, you report rumors because it gets clicks, and hey, it's pretty sensational. It's
Hey,
quite sensational. Wait, are you talking to me? Uh-huh.
Sorry, I forgot we were. I forgot my mic was up for a second like that. I just shut it up. Sorry, I'm fine.
No, you're good. It's quite sensational that
Okay, my door's
Tatiana
closed now. Sorry
Maslany
about
is suing Deadpool, right? Like that gets clicks if that was a real rumor. It's clearly not a real rumor. I did see like a Facebook post or some shit that said that her and Brie Larson are both really mad because their cameos got cut in Deadpool 3. They didn't film cameos for Deadpool 3. Like, first of all, if they did, nobody would know they were mad they got cut, and nobody would know if they got cut because number one, the movie's not out, and number two, they probably have NDAs, so all that shit's under lock. So it's easy to make shit up, right? Like, it's easy to be like, hey guys, hey, these women, they're real mad they got cut out of Deadpool 3 and they're suing. You can't sue for being cut out of a movie. You still get paid for the work you did, dumb fucks. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is why it's crackhead news, because you have to be smoking some drugs or some shit to believe that this is real. Like, there's no way anybody actually believes this is real.
Yeah, some people just want intellectual validation. You know, it's like believing in a story that you really want to believe, and like, you know, they're gonna do whatever they want to believe. You know.
Yeah. So I'll read to you exactly what this guy said. He said, "Hey, it's official. She bitch, I mean Hulk, is canceled. But not just that. Ryan Reynolds cut her from Deadpool. I'm so happy. Oh, it got canceled for going over budget by $50 million." And I was like, okay, fake rumor. Congrats on believing random shit, right? He said, which part? She's literally getting a legal team to sue. I'm glad she got cut from Deadpool. Hopefully she gets blackballed from Hollywood. And like, I was like, bro, send me the article. He said she was supposed to, according to her, but her scenes were cut. I said, send article. He said, can't. It's a YouTube video. I said, did they not cite a source? He said, don't know. Got excited that she's out of it, out of the MCU. And then he said, all that matters is she's gone. I was like, I told him, I was like, there's a rumor yesterday of her next appearance, right? Because I read this rumor. I know it's also a fake rumor, but there's a rumor about her next appearance. I was like, so choose what you want to believe. He's like, hopefully she gets cut out of everything else. And then he says, apparently the Acolyte director also fired. So there's your crackhead news. He said, she's planning to sue Disney. Like, I'm just like, bro, everybody's suing everybody. Like, everybody's getting cut from everything. I was like, says who? He said, the YouTube video I'm watching. I said, the day I start going to you for news is the day you know I've been kidnapped and I'm speaking in code. He said, damn, bro, that's cold shit. And then he starts talking about rage bait shit, so I ignore him. And then, yep, same shit. And then he sends me a screenshot. And the title of the YouTube video is Ryan Reynolds strikes back at She-Hulk actress. I didn't go watch the video because it's clearly clickbait. And then he says, told you, bitch, fucked up. And I was like, bro, did you watch the video? It's clickbait. He said, how is it clickbait? Also, the biggest complaint I've seen with She-Hulk was the writing. Everyone agrees. Brother, like, you didn't even answer the question. I'm like, where's your source, brother, man? And then he just goes on and on and on and on. And then he's like, Brie Larson is bitching about cameos in Deadpool, which just didn't happen. So, and then he says, did you know Nightcrawler's mom was Mystique? Isn't that Rogue's mom as well, or is it just Kurt's? Bro, you'll watch a YouTube video that spews garbage, but literally last week on this podcast, I talked about Rogue's and Nightcrawler's heritage. That Nightcrawler is the son of Mystique, and Rogue ran away from home and was brought in and raised as Mystique's daughter. We talked about that here. If you want real news, you can come to us, okay?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, we just kind of read what's out there and hope for the best.
Exactly. Just like, hey guys, it's not made up that Chris Hemsworth apologized for Thor 4, 5, whatever, right? Thor 4. That's not made up. There's an article, and it's a legit source. Isn't it Variety? I think did it, and then Robert Downey Jr. had some stuff to say about that too. We're not going to talk about that today because we have to get into a lot of stuff happening in some episodes. But we'll talk about it at some point because like
a lot of stuff.
It's out there. It's out there. So yeah, if you guys are if you guys are interested in more crackhead news, I'm sure it'll keep being sent to me, so we can do more segments like that. But yeah, lots of rage baity shit out there these days. So anyway,
You're not wrong.
so listen, brother, I need it doesn't matter anymore because last night was the series finale of the Bad Batch, right?
Yeah.
But since X-Men 97 has been running, I've watched it before the Bad Batch, and I feel like that's a bad practice.
Yeah.
Because
I watched it before the Bad Batch too.
Yeah. But anyway, before we move into that discussion, spoiler warning: if you haven't watched the latest episodes of the Bad Batch and X-Men 97, episodes 8 and episode 15 of the Bad Batch, season 3 of the Bad Batch, we're gonna spoil it. We're gonna have full spoiler indulged discussions. So warning. But yeah, I feel like it's hard for me to it's hard for the Bad Batch to keep my attention after I've watched X-Men 97 because X-Men 97 is so good that
I think they're both really good, so I could both give them, but that's just me being me,
Yeah, I feel like the Bad Batch has had so much filler in this final season that it's hard to, I don't know. For me, it was it's hard to.
Yeah, this last episode is definitely the crowning jewel. That's the most important episode we got was basically the last 3 episodes. Everything else was just really dumb filler that didn't really. Like you said, it was the last breath. It's the last gasp of the Clone Wars, for reals this time. Instead of the last season of the Clone Wars we got season 6. This is it. This is the last. This is it, man. Anything to do with clones, one guy with the voices all the clones, references to the Clone Wars. Most of these characters, I don't really think we're ever gonna. Maybe we'll see Asajj in the movie that Dave Filoni's making. I'm not really sure. But aside from Ahsoka, but here's the thing though about maybe Ahsoka is that's it, man.
I think the follow up to this will be Tales of the Empire, right? The mini thing.
Yeah. But also I just gotta to finish my thought here. Ahsoka is the only last real remnant of the Clone Wars series. Ezra and all those guys were introduced in Rebels. So
yeah.
Now I gotta blow my nose real quick, so I'll let you comment on that about the last legacy of the man. If you were dying out here in California from these pollen, man, this is crazy.
Bro, everybody is dying. Everybody allergies.
I've never had pain in my nose. There's pain in my nose, dude. It's when I blow my nose, it's still sharp pain.
Or you go people walk into the office and it looks like they've been crying because everybody's just puffy because allergies. Bro, if you've never been to Northern California, allergies here are fucked.
Yeah, because it rained for 2 days, and now it's pure perfect sunshine, and now it's hella windy. So it's just the worst of all worlds, man. There's so many flowers and so many trees and so much life out here, dude. You're just swimming in that freaking plant semen. It sucks.
Yeah, there's a verse in a song about Sacramento, where the guy literally says, "We sneeze in Sacramento, achoo, 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 the pollen here so rude. The mucus I produce is more than just a nuisance, it's abuse."
That's awesome.
It's a song called Ember by Dance Gavin Dance. They're from Sacramento.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dance Gavin Dance. I know Dance Gavin Dance. I've heard of them before.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the allergies here are fucked. They're fucked.
Yep.
Also, explicit warning. It's already in there, but hey. Anyway,
Yeah. We like
yeah, we'll
here.
just talk about the Bad Batch first since we're on that topic. We'll
Yep.
mix up today. We'll talk about X-Men 97 second, but yeah, the Bad Batch series finale. Yeah, it is essentially wrapping up like this long journey that we've all been on with the Clone Wars, essentially since like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
The wrap up of Revenge of the Sith. Moving into, I guess the Clone Wars movie was what, 2007 or something, with Jabba the Hutt's kid, and then we got like the full series, Dave Filoni and George Lucas's love child. 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, and now with during COVID, right? They released the final season, which took a long time. And now with Disney's ownership of Star Wars, like there's been this kind of revisiting of some of those stories, and the Bad Batch was this other story that spun off of that came out of this same kind of love child, and it is essentially the end of that era.
It is like that's the exact feeling I felt when I was like watching the last couple episodes, like this last episode.
Yeah, I
Especially
do
like,
think it was incredibly predictable.
Yeah, and I think
Except
it was
for the
also
very,
like
very end.
yeah, I think too, like I think I don't know, like let's just go over what happens in the episode, and then I don't know, hopefully when we spend the whole day talking about the Bad Batch, because honestly this episode kind of deserves like its own,
It was
its
a
own,
very
its
long
own
episode. It was 50 minutes
yeah.
long.
I
So it
called
was,
it too. Remember you
yeah,
said it was
yeah,
you
yeah.
said it
I
was
was
only
like,
gonna be
it'll just be a
yeah.
normal episode. Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like, dude, I don't know, like it's finale, they got a lot going on, like yeah, I called that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
am right sometimes. It does happen.
Nah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm wrong a lot of times. Even though I pretend like I'm always right, I'm often wrong. So, yeah, I mean, we just kind of jump in more or less where we left off. I don't know. Listen, I don't know if my TV is just really fucking shit, or if like these episodes are actually that dark. Because there's some scenes I literally can't see anything.
I think there are some scenes that are intentionally dark. Yeah, but I'm watching mine in the dark with my like at like 11:30 at night, like in my room, like with no lights on. So my experience is really biased. I don't know if you're capable of watching in that situation, but
Maybe.
you know,
Yeah. No, it's just like some scenes were just so dark. I couldn't see anything.
yeah,
But yeah,
can't
like
see a damn thing.
the Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair are still in the forest, trying to get into the base. Omega, she's ready. She's ready to pounce. The base is getting shut down. All these security things are going into place, and like Omega's like, all right, guys, this is our time. Like we're ready. Like they reprogram the droid to knock out the science lady. And then they start traveling through the fucking walls and shit. And surprise, surprise, they release the Zillo Beast.
Yeah, we saw that coming from you called that, I called that. Like, they wouldn't show it unless it was going to be a plot point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we need to talk about Omega's ability just to reprogram a droid like on the fly?
It could have been something she picked up from Tech, like.
Could be. Tech also, speaking of which, dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Actually dead.
Sorry, guys. Dude,
Yeah.
when some in Star Wars, like a rule of thumb is if like you see them like actively do the death and they give like a one-liner, like they're dead, man. Like that's not even a Star Wars rule. I'm sorry, that's like just a TV rule. Like if they give like the one-liner and they die, like they sacrifice themselves in some way, I think I think they're dead. That's what yeah.
Absolutely.
So I was really not expecting Tech to come back at all, and I'm glad that they stuck with their guns on that one.
As am
lost
I.
like a member of the squad,
like
they had to deal with that.
I think it almost lessens his death to bring him back. Well, I mean,
yeah,
it does absolutely lessen it, and so
his death, yeah, it ruins the sacrifice.
I'm glad that they kept him dead. I think that's deserved.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have like these multiple stories going on. You have Echo now with Dr. Carr. Obviously, Dr. Carr is gonna be like, I'm gonna help you because it's time to do the right thing. And so she's helping Echo. They go into the vault. Obviously, nobody's there anymore. But Echo, he knows how Omega thinks, so he's gonna go find her.
Yep.
The Zillow Beast is wreaking havoc, destroying shit, busting a big ass hole in the fucking building.
The roof, yeah, it rips the roof off.
Yeah, which will allow the Bad Batch to come inside. Wrecker is fucked up though. Wrecker's fucked. So
Yep.
he's struggling. He's struggling to move because he was attacked
Yeah,
by the giant monster.
Yeah, he fought a monster to get him off that one Imperial guy, and he took some injuries, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, I watched the first 2 episodes of Fallout.
Oh, good.
And
Well, we can
so,
talk about that later.
well, it just made me think because he was attacked by that like fucking thing. It made me think of that irradiated bear.
Oh yeah.
So
The Yao Guai.
yeah. But yeah, so all that shit is happening, and Hemlock is he's acting
serious.
he's acting
Yeah.
chill, but he's not chill at all.
He's not chilling.
So-
Yeah, he's definitely stressed. He's definitely a little stressed. A little bit of stress going on. Some few stressors in Hemlock's life.
Yeah, just a few. And he's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm activating every fucking elite commando I got in this bitch right now.
Yeah. He's activating his reprogrammed clones.
And while that was happening, I was like, please, none of you be tech. Please, please
Yeah,
don't
that's
do
what
that.
I was thinking. I was worried about that too. For a second. I was like, oh, we salvaged his body and resurrected him. Like, come on, guys. But no, they were just like clones probably that have been have their brains like just scrambled and like just been conditioned to, like they're already Mandalorians, like they're all the clones of a Mandalorian, so they're all already pretty in physical condition, and now they're like their brains have been wiped and they've been turned into like just death machines that follow orders without question and like are just great super soldiers basically, like clone super soldiers.
Yep. And then
they look badass too. Like
they do.
They were badass.
Yeah. Eventually, fucking Echo finds Omega, and then they free a bunch of the prisoners, and then Omega's like, okay, guys, let's go to work and shit. And fucking Nalase is like, I'm gonna go destroy the archives, and Rampart follows her because he's a little cunt bitch.
He's always looking out for number one. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, and all the troopers are like, oh, follow, except for like a few that end up taking the kids to the ship to get ready.
Because they're super injured and dying already. Like, and there are a few that are limping and stuff like that. But they're like, clones don't leave other clones behind.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And Hemlock, he's like, oh, so clearing.
I'm evil. I'm so evil. Oh, I'm evil. My cross, slow tapered fade. I'm evil. I'm so evil. Great voice actor guy for the Hemlock.
It's the number one weakness of clones. Their loyalty.
Yeah.
So
great voice actor for Hemlock though. Whoever's voicing that guy was phenomenal at being like sinister and evil, like sounding calm, but obviously just starting to lose control. Like you could feel the rage in his voice.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
In the Bad Batch, not the Bad Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair, they do get into the base, but then they are captured. And so Hemlock is like, trying to condition them and be like, haha, I will make you my new super soldiers. And then this guy's like, Dr. Hemlock, got a call from Governor Tarkin. And so he has to go talk to Tarkin. And Tarkin's like, you're fucking up, Hemlock. You need to stop fucking up. And Hemlock's like, don't worry. Everything's fine. He's like, the Emperor will fuck you in the ass.
Pretty much.
He's like, I'm on my way.
And I'm on my way to spit there before he comes with his big dick.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Omega and them, they're finding their way through. Nalase, she's trying to delete records. Rampart's like, tell me everything about Project Necromancer. And then Nalase has a thermal detonator. She blows up.
I think that cut. I fucking hated that cutaway too. It was like, tell me everything and why the Emperor wants it and why it's a super most important secret in the galaxy. And
this
then it cuts
will
away.
Be my bargaining chip.
Yeah, and then it cuts away while she explains everything.
Which is so stupid. Admiral Rampart needs to fix his fucking brain, okay? Because let's be honest, brother, you were loyal to the Empire. They put you in a labor camp. And you want to go back somehow? Like, you think like you're going to get your old life back? They will just kill you next time.
Yeah.
Like, you show up to the Emperor, you're like, hey, I know all about Project Necromancer. You're dead. Brother, you're dead at that point. So, which doesn't matter because he's dead anyway. Hey, the crackhead is calling me. I'm not answering.
All right.
Podcasting live.
Tell him to comment on Twitch.
Yeah.
If you want questions
just
answered.
Like every Thursday.
Tell them to
You
comment on
can
Twitch.
come watch and join the conversation in chat. Smile.
There you go.
Jesus. Yeah, and so things are still happening. Okay, guys, they're happening. Not, Echo is now getting his ass beat by the
Yep.
fucking commandos, and
They all got beat at first. Like, remember, like they get beat up first by these commandos, and then like they switch back to it. I really like how
yeah,
intense their
pretty
combat
much
is,
like
and
all the guys who volunteered to help him get killed.
yeah. No, they get so like they break into
Yeah,
this
they
room to
gas him.
free
They
like the
gas
Bad
him.
Batch, and they get gassed, but it's like doesn't kill them, like just knocks them out because like that'd be too hardcore. Because some of
Well,
them start waking up, and then they like
yeah,
shoot those evil clones, and then they rescue the rest of the Bad Batch. And they all get together, and Hemlock grabs Omega. He's like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna go up here, and I'm gonna steal away with Omega because she's super duper ultra important." And then you ask why, and he goes like, "Shut up." So,
yeah. See,
I fucking hate that. I hate that, dude. I fucking hate that shit.
they still like. I think it's like implied, but they don't really explain any of this shit.
Yeah, I think it's all supposed to be implied, and we'll talk about it at the very end. But basically, so Hemlock is on this bridge, and man, dude, like this scene looks really fucking good.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. With the
so Hemlock
lightning
is
and
on
the
this,
rain.
yeah, in the rain and stuff like that. And after this episode, I was waiting to mention this to the end, but man, after this episode, I went back and watched the first episode of the Clone Wars. Man, dude, how far the freaking tech has
Yeah,
come,
the
huh?
animation
It's
has
crazy.
gotten a lot better.
Leagues and leagues better.
Yeah.
Like it actually looks good, like an art form now than anything else.
Well, yeah,
Some of the
as it
shots
should.
they can make. And,
I mean, you'll find
yeah,
the same thing too if you watch the very first episode of X-Men '97 and then the new ones, like
yeah, yeah.
completely different. So
Completely different, yeah, for sure. So like they're like, Hemlock, give us Omega, and he's like, no, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, and then Omega with me if you shoot me, you stupid fucking clones. I fucking
yeah.
hate you. And
Omega's like,
they,
they won't let you pass.
yeah, and then
And
freaking,
yeah, they're handcuffed
she,
together, so like they can't just
yeah,
like kill him.
Omega pulls a little needle she has hidden in her wrist, and she knifes him in the gut, and he freaking sticks his hand up, and then freaking
Oh yeah,
Crosshair shoots the
Crosshair,
bolt.
who's now missing a hand,
A hand, yes,
his
that's right. He
shooting
had his
hand.
hand cut
But
off.
listen, who cares? That hand was useless anyway. Like you, bro, you
Yeah,
cut off his hand that he couldn't use the whole season because it was shaking the whole fucking time. Boo fucking
yeah.
who?
Yeah, so he uses his other hand to, help out Omega,
Yep.
and then Hemlock gets gunned down and he falls into the abyss. Like, fuck you, Hemlock.
Yeah,
Ah.
and they don't just shoot him
And
once, bro. They fucking shoot him a
there's
bunch
been
of
a lot of people
times.
a lot of people get lit up this
He got
episode, dude.
lit
Like that
up.
happens a couple times. Like that clone commando Hemlock's clone commando got lit up a few times. Like definitely a couple of those other like super soldier clones got lit up a few times. A few people got lit up by blaster bolts. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but
Um,
the thing is like through so much of this episode, it's like ingrained or like it's communicated to the audience a lot. Like the only way that like any of this is possible, the only way that they're successful is because they're all so familiar with each other. They know their
yeah,
tactics. They know how
what they're
Omega is
gonna
going to
do. Yep,
behave, right? So
yep,
that's why like that's how Echo finds her. That's how Crosshair, like, he doesn't know her as well. So Hunter tells him like, wait, because Omega knows what to do, right? And
yeah,
when you'll know when to shoot, pretty much.
yeah.
So like that's like really ingrained in the audience, and I think that's good because
Great.
otherwise you're
Yeah.
like, how are they supposed to do any of this shit, right?
Yep.
So like because you
And
don't want
they
it to be like, oh, they're just lucky, oh, it's just contrivance and all that shit,
yeah, no, it's like nope. They had Megan knows all the plans now. Like she knows all the stratagems that they have. She's like just a full-fledged commando now. She got those kids most of the way out and freed that beast. And that was pretty badass. So she's like a full-fledged commando now essentially. And yeah. So basically, Hemlock dies. They grab Omega and they leave, and the day is fucking saved. Nobody died surprisingly. I thought they were gonna kill someone, but nobody died.
Yeah,
And it's
I
whatever.
thought for sure someone would die,
Yeah,
or
like
like
Wrecker or something
most of
like
them.
that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So they
But we did
get away.
predict either they would all die or they would just go on live on Pabu and retire there.
Yeah, well, and that's there's another sequence too that happens as soon as they leave. Like the Star Destroyer shows up, and that's when they like
Yep.
again like this new
Tarkin
graphics
shows
and
up.
like how this show looks like just phenomenal now compared to how it used to be, and it really communicates like the scale of the Star Destroyers and all that kind of stuff. As they're when you see that triangle like just in perfectly in the middle of the shot as it comes up over the base, like, and it like
Yeah.
swallows it whole. Like, it's just really badass shit. And then Tarkin's like, freaking this project blew up. Hemlock's dead. I want to start. I want my Death Star
Yeah,
right chat now.
reallocate all my funds to Project
To
Stardust,
Project
which I'm
Stardust.
pretty sure is like just a straight call out to Rogue One, right? Because isn't that
Yeah,
what?
yeah, that's what the Death Star project is named. Is
Yeah,
Project Stardust. So,
yeah.
yep.
Um,
And so and then Project Necromancer is shut down. We never
yep.
really know its true intention, but most of it's implied. It seems like they were trying to make Force-sensitive clones, essentially, and
Yes,
that
for the Emperor.
Omega like had some kind of way for her blood to propagate like midichlorians within them or something like that.
Yeah.
It was never fully explained.
And at some point, they are successful. Like
Yeah,
we know that they are successful at some point. So it'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how that comes to fruition.
yeah. If that ever gets brought up at all.
And Thrawn is the best connection to that, I guess.
Yep, yep.
Um, but we'll have to see because the Thrawn that we know now from Ahsoka is like way later. Like,
Way later. The
um,
Emperor's gone. Like that all. Like the again. Like he's gone for like a second time. Like that fleet was already destroyed and stuff like that. The New Republic story. Like this all happens after like the new trilogy, right? Or is it before? It's
so
before because Luke isn't old as fuck. That's right.
well, yeah. So, well, it depends what you're talking about. So,
In the
like
Mandalorian, when he rescues him, he's not
the
old, so he must be
Mandalorian,
young.
the
Yeah.
Mandalorian happens. The first season takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So I think Ahsoka is probably set between 7 to 10 years after Return of the
After.
Jedi, and
Okay.
so you have another long period of time where Thrawn can go work on the cloning shit to bring the Emperor back eventually
Yeah.
for the future, for
Oh.
the
Oh,
sequel
future.
trilogy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the final scene was an unexpected surprise of, essentially a time jump. We see old man
Yep.
Hunter and adult Omega, and her
Yeah.
accent is a little less
Shitty. Makes you want to die. Grating on the ears.
a little less niche, I would say. Um, and yeah, she's ready to fly from the nest and
Hmm.
become a rebel to join
Yeah.
the Rebel
You're
Alliance.
right. You're right. Like she couldn't stand by and do nothing. She's definitely not that type of character. But also like this is Star Wars. The scale of the galaxy is so wide. She could just be like another rebel pilot, like fighting the Empire in some corner of the galaxy that we've never heard of. Like
Yeah,
that's what all of Rogue Squadron. I'm reading the X-wing books right now, like the old school X-wing books from like the 90s and like 80s or something like that. And, it's just the world building was so simple back then. Like everything needed to be connected. It's like, yeah, there's these characters that are fighting the Empire in this corner of this giant galaxy.
yeah.
So that really put it in perspective for me because
Just
she doesn't need
simple
to be like the
farmers
super.
trying to keep their livelihood.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be like the super powerful Jedi or anything like that. She just kind of needs to be Omega, and now she has all this skill set, to help her fight like the Empire. Now she's like, gonna go help fight the Empire like in the way that she can. She's not like this super badass or anything like that, but she can definitely hold her own. So
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
glad they did what they did with Omega. Like they didn't force her to become a Jedi because all of a sudden she has a high midi-chlorian count, so she
exactly.
has to be a Jedi. Like I like that they're making it more clear, or maybe it'll confuse people more. But like for me, this is them saying like, yes, there are force sensitive people in the world who will never be Jedi because you need to train to be a Jedi. Like
Mm,
anybody could train because the force is in everybody, but like no matter how force sensitive you are, without that training, you'll never become a Jedi,
mm.
right? And like because so many people are like upset that like Sabine, trains to become a Jedi, or like everybody has to become a Jedi kind of thing and whatever. And it's like, well, like Finn is another example, right? Finn being
Yeah,
potentially force sensitive, right? Like, oh, Finn can't be a Jedi, blah blah blah. It's like, well, with the right training, like he potentially could, and
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
matters, right?
Yeah.
So, I like that they went that direction with Omega, and they didn't just like, oh, by the way, she has a high midichlorian count. Now she will be the most
A
powerful
Jedi.
Jedi
Yeah, like
imaginable.
I'm glad they didn't cut away from her, like like having a lightsaber or something like that on her hip or anything. Like she's just Omega. She's
Yeah,
like she's a blast. She's just a character, like in the Star Wars character, not a force sensitive one. and it's just it's good stuff, man. Because like honestly, like too, like it just felt like the transition from what we knew as the Clone Wars to to Star Wars, like the Resistance and Rebels and stuff like that. Is you could feel it like in this scene. Do you understand kind of what I'm meaning? Like like the passing of the baton kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely it they definitely made it a conclusion, right? Like it's definitely
Yeah.
the end of something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And not just the end of this series, but the end of this era of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So
Like this where it started, and like I don't know, maybe I'll tear up when I'm saying this, but like the end of the thing that started like when the Phantom Menace came out, like that whole trilogy, like all of Dave Filoni's inspirations is based around like the new trilogy that you and I are probably more familiar with than probably the original trilogy because I watched Phantom Menace before I watched A New Hope because like it was it was in theaters at the time and no New Hope wasn't, you know. So it's
yeah,
just it feels like we're leaving that behind and we're moving into the new age of like better or worse, like the sequel trilogy and like all the lore that sprang from it and all the new ideas of the First Order and everything like that. Like that's entering the foreground and the forefront, and the Mandalorian, of course, all that stuff's there too. Ahsoka is still here. She'll always be here as kind of like the legacy of the Clone Wars, but she's
yeah,
not like also she's her own character now. It's distinctly different.
yeah. Well, and I think that the interest for a lot of people now it will be in that time period between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, like, and that's what
Yeah.
the Mandalorian focuses on, and also Ahsoka focuses on, and like, really, like, can we get some good lore into like the rise of the First Order, so it doesn't just seem like dumb as
They
fuck,
came out of nowhere. Yeah, they
like,
came out of nowhere, like with all like at first it used to be the bunch of fringe people on the edge of the galaxy, but why do a bunch of fringe people have a giant super planet that can shoot giant lasers, like they can hit multiple planets at the same time? And
yeah,
the next episode like is starting right after, and then all of a sudden they have super dreadnoughts and they're literally everywhere, taking over the remnants of the Republic, dude. Like the pacing was all off.
yeah, like how do you go from the New Republic running everything to like 20 minutes later now they're the Resistance?
Exactly.
Brother, why do you
Yeah.
need a resistance like against the First Order if you
Yeah.
run the fucking galaxy?
Yeah, they should have just called them the Imperial Remnants, and they should, and the First Order is like the most powerful of the Imperial Remnants, and then that would have fixed like 50% of like the issues with the placing the plot. They could have just had like, dude, it's so fucking simple. They could have even put it in the opening crawl, like, oh,
Yeah.
the Imperial Remnants banded together and formed the First Order, and instead of just saying like all these weirdos on the edge of the galaxy in deep space that nobody knows about, like they're super small, and I don't know, man.
They do say something about the First Order in
Yeah.
the crawl, right?
Yeah,
Like something about
they
the Sinister First Order or
pieces of the
something.
First Order. Yeah, and I don't know,
Uh,
but there are definitely better ways it could have gone about it. Is what I'm trying to like say.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. The Last Jedi. Uh, anyway, I'm trying to bring it up, but my computer is shit, so. Luke Skywalker has vanished. In his absence, the sinister First Order has risen from the ashes of the Empire and will not rest until Skywalker, the Last Jedi, has been destroyed. All right.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
brother.
no like point.
So all it took for the Empire to come back is Luke to disappear.
Yep.
Well, your government must be fucking dog shit. So anyway, yeah, I thought it was a decent finale. Like, there was no real surprises in it for me other than like the time jump. So like parts of it kind of felt underwhelming.
Yeah, it was like that time jump was like the perfect bow on top of everything. You're right. The season had a lot of issues. There was a lot of filler. Bad Batch and all was kind of a weird idea from the get go. I think when it first started, like, how interested are we going to be, like, in this whole side story of the Clone Wars? And you know what? They actually did a pretty good job, all things considered.
Yeah.
For seasons 1 and 2, like they actually made a cool series that I think a lot of people genuinely enjoyed. I play a Star Wars MMORPG that's like made up of really hardcore Star Wars fans, right? Because they all come together and keep this dead Star Wars game alive, essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
so they also have the basic opinions, like the sequel trilogy is awful because like we hate Ray or whatever that, but also like there are some more of them in there like that are more open minds, and like I just put forward the question, like, you know, most people really like the last season. They like the last episode of the Bad Batch. They really did.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah, you know, it was great.
Yeah. All right. So are we ready for X-Men?
X-Men. This will be more. You're ready to probably gasm on all everybody. He's twitching, folks. For those of you that are listening, Cage is sorry. This is something.
It's all right.
You can edit that one out and post later.
No,
Or if
I
you
don't edit. I don't give a shit.
okay. Well, Cage is definitely like, you know, he's yeah, there's a lot going on. It's just some great stuff, man. It really is some good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
pretty crazy shit. You
A
know, and
lot
it's
of stuff
again feels
happening.
the super. It's like, again, just to reiterate, like the Saturday morning cartoon vibe in this show is just like immaculate and like just well kept. Because man, like, dude, they got the virus and then they turned it into the thing, and now the virus became the super virus. Like, you know, and it's just, ah, man, I love it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
please continue. Probably have way more interesting things to say than I do. But
No, no. I mean, like, there's not going to be so much, like, comic book reference talk for this episode. Because really, this episode is just, like, the last episode was establishing what the final 3 episodes would be, right? And this, every week, this show kind of just knocks it out of the park, I think. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
and everyone kind of has their moments, right? Like, last episode, Rogue, she had a lot of good moments, right? Like, she was just kicking ass and doing shit all over the place, right? This episode, she's kind of incapacitated, so she doesn't need her moments. But Wolverine has moments. Nightcrawler has moments. I fucking love Nightcrawler. You know, the Summers family all coming together. Jean and Scott and fucking Cable all together doing shit. Bro, I love Jean Grey, but she is very entitled.
Yeah.
Like she gives me like that thing where like you look at her and you go, really? Really? Like, brother, even her like wearing the ponytail as if she's trying to be fucking Madeline Pryor, like as if Scott's not confused enough and shit. Come on, Jean. Like, I get it. Like, she used to do her hair. Like, we're not wearing the ponytail, but like leaving her hair down and shit. Like, she's just trying to be Maddie, okay? She's trying. After she was mean to Madeline too, but then she's like, "Oh, sisters." anyway, so yeah, this episode was really just about Bastion kicking off his plan. He's he is turning people into Sentinels, Prime Sentinels at that.
Yeah. Literally turning them into Sentinels.
Yes,
like
yes.
Literally.
They can reproduce. Cable is there for all the exposition to tell you about, you know, the future and how it's shit. And Cyclops is like, I sent you to the future so you could have a better life. And then he's like, and your life is terrible. Oh, the future is so shit.
Yeah. Love you too, Dad.
So yeah, Cable's just like, yeah, guys, the future sucks, and it's all because of this guy, and because hey, Charles Xavier had this plan for mutant kind, and hey, his vision came true. We do live alongside humans, but we have to serve a purpose. We built the new world, but we are hated by everyone. You know, and it's kind of like this thing where like the reason why X-Men is so great is because it does transcend all this allegory stuff that people love to throw at it, like this idea that like X-Men are different, right? Like mutants are different, evolutionary different, but they're the next they're the next phase in evolution. So much so to the point that like eventually they're like if you follow that logic to a future, that future looks very mutant and very much so not human. And so humans, of course, are scared because they feel like they're going to be wiped out. They're going to be extinct. Like, we're not going to exist anymore. Where really it's like, that's not the case. It's not that mutants in Charles Xavier's vision are going to kill humans and wipe them out. It's that as evolution continues, new mutants will be birthed instead of humans. I mean, mutants are still human though, right? So that's like what the whole thing is about. That's what Bastion is like. Yeah, eventually humanity will be extinct, so I'm gonna protect humanity by creating machines that kill all the mutants.
Mm.
And part of that plan includes obviously keeping Magneto captured with an inhibitor collar. And then I guess, right, like we also learn about Bastion's childhood, kind of how he came to be, that it was like, he's a combination of Master Mold and Nimrod. Nimrod is a future Sentinel, like really really future Sentinel. Master Mold is like the present day past Sentinel, like the leader, like the hive mind of the Sentinels, who became what's the word, as like self-aware, and revolted against Bolivar Trask. And because Nimrod, so a lot of this ties back to this episode, this alternate Earth episode of the original X-Men cartoon, where essentially like people from the future, told by Master Mold to go to the past, to kill Charles Xavier in like the 60s or whatever. They accomplish that goal, and it creates a future or a present where Magneto and is essentially the leader of essentially the X-Men, with Wolverine on the team, and Storm, and Wolverine and Storm are married in that future or in that present. So it's like this alternate world, and they're essentially being hunted. All mutants are being hunted by humans and the governments and all this shit, right? And Bishop and Shard, they go to that timeline to recruit them to go stop Charles Xavier from being murdered in that past. And Nimrod is one of the future Sentinels who's trying to stop them from stopping that from happening. And in that episode, Wolverine and Storm, they end up like in this like diner thing, and there's this white waitress who like comments about them because they're a interracial couple. And she says something hateful, and that character is Bastion's mother. And again, Nimrod is there, and so like while she's pregnant with him, listen, they're saying that she's his mother. They're saying that.
Yeah.
Like that's
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
That's what the director is saying, or like whatever, like the writer. That's what they're saying. It's only like a 5-year difference, but I mean, like clearly she wasn't pregnant at that time, but like somehow Nimrod's DNA, affects her. Like they showed in the sequence or whatever. That's why he can hear Master Mold and whatever. He's essentially a combination of Master Mold and Nimrod. That's it. Okay, that's all you need to know. The biggest like twist is like the fucking UN lady, like for some reason, has been working with him. And she's like, obviously, she's like, I know what you're gonna do to Genosha and blah 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 blah. Listen, why didn't he just turn her into a fucking sleeper agent Sentinel? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
like,
a lot of
Bro, he turned the entire fucking world into sleeper agent Sentinels. This one dude in a fucking Letterman jacket with a fucking P on it was everywhere. He was in every fucking scene of fucking sleeper agent Sentinels. He was everywhere. But you couldn't turn this lady into a sleeper agent Sentinel? You just allow her to fucking release Magneto? Come on now. Which, by the way, was fucking cool as shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, not only was Nightcrawler fighting cool, Wolverine had his badass moments fighting fucking through the air.
Super badass sequence, dude. Like, Wolverine is just, I don't know how else to describe it. He's like, every boy's fantasy, I guess. Like, he's just immortal, and he has, like, these claws that come out of his fucking hands, and he just rips people to shreds, and he's a super gruff badass. And, like, the fucking happened is these Sentinels, like, launched with him basically in, like, the lower stratosphere, and then Wolverine is flying around fighting all these Sentinels, like, in mid-fucking air, and it's
slicing
super fucking badass. It's super fucking badass, dude. It's super
and then,
cool. I loved it.
We gotta protect Rogue. Fucking claws out, and she's like, I got 6 reasons. And then
Nightcrawler shows up with like
3 swords.
Yeah.
He's like,
is that like normally what he does?
He usually has 2 swords. Usually has 2 swords.
Okay,
so,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Nightcrawler's fucking sick, bro. He's sick. I love Nightcrawler. Like he does fight with swords. So, yeah,
Yeah, all
that
that
was really
shit's
cool.
fucking badass.
Yeah. I don't really care about the Scott, Jean, and Cable stuff. Okay, cool. There's, they go to the house, his childhood home, and like the
Mm.
mom is obviously a sleeper agent sentinel, and then all the other sleeper agent sentinels start fucking showing up, because you turn the whole fucking town into them, and yeah, so they are like being pursued or whatever. Um, yeah, we just get a lot of really cool sequences, until the end where Magneto is set free and he goes to the fucking North Pole and just like uses the magnetism of the world to just like shut down all the sleeper agent sentinels, all of their technology, because obviously he's the master of magnetism. Also, shout out to the Mystics of Comertage. We got a Doctor Strange call out in this episode from Beast. We got Doctor Doom in this episode. We got Baron Zemo in this episode, and we got Spider-Man in this episode. So
Yeah.
that was all
Yeah, that
pretty
was
cool.
crazy stuff. Yeah, and yeah, dude, seeing Magneto shut everything off was really badass. I didn't know he
Bro,
could just fly to the North
that
Pole
was
and just fucking
sick.
decide, hey guys, EMP. So yeah, she frees so Magneto's been kidnapped the entire time, and he's like in a thong, and he's really hot, and he's just got these bulging giant muscles, bro. And God, he's so fucking hot, and he has this wispy white hair, and he has this
Mm-hmm.
perfect fucking chin, and he has these giant arms that look like he could just pick you up and whisk you away from all your problems. So anyway, we're putting it out there. Magneto's he's really attractive in the show. But
Yeah.
he's been being like kidnapped by this that one guy, and then the UN lady frees him, and then he just freaking flies to north. I know he does something to the pole. Like obviously, like I'm not like an idiot, I know there's like a magnetic pole, obviously in the North Pole. I don't know what he does specifically. But yeah, he just does a giant EMP and shuts down planet Earth.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's like
so cool.
there's a samurai guy that's there. Obviously, Spider-Man's there. He's like, whoa, what the Spider-Man? And then but there's like the samurai guy. I don't know who he is. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they also show Omega Red.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's right. There's another guy there. I don't know who that is either because I don't know X-Men. I didn't watch the original show, so you know.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, everybody knows Omega Red, though, right?
Hmm.
So essentially, where does this leave us? I mean, also at the very very end, Wolverine's like, "Oh, I can sure use the professor right now," and they just crash lands into the mansion. And he's like, "To me, my X-Men," and they only show like four of them. But yeah. Where we're left off, more or less, is people might go, well, what's gonna be next? Because Magneto just destroyed all the Sentinel Prime guys, right? Which
Yep.
did he? We don't know yet. Also, we just completely skipped over the whole Sunspot Jubilee stuff. Yeah, his mom is a see you next Tuesday. They just got arrested and got collars put on them. I'm sure they'll be. Did they get freed when he shut off all the
Well, I'm
power?
sure. We didn't see, but I'm sure that they did. It'd be dumb if they didn't.
Yeah. Um, but essentially, where we are now is we're in this place where not only is the question I have is, will Bastion continue to be the main villain in the next two episodes? Because it's actually
Oh,
the
there's two more episodes.
yeah, there's two more episodes.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, the UN lady says something that makes you think. She makes you think, where is this going? And what she says is, Magneto was right. And what she means by that is, Magneto fundamentally believes that mutants and humans can never coexist.
Hmm.
Like, the only reason he tried as the leader of the X-Men is because that was Charles Xavier's wish.
Yeah.
Right? And also there's this whole sub thing here, right? This whole sub plot where they get the footage from the Shi'ar Empire of essentially Xavier still alive, and they like are framing that as the mutants lied to us, and he was alive the whole time, and they were just doing this for sympathy, kind of thing, right? So that's going to make even more people hate them. And when you pile that on top of the idea that Magneto was right, what you end up getting is Magneto most likely recruiting the Brotherhood of Mutants to do his mission, and now with Xavier returning, the X-Men trying to stop that. Because if Bastion's out of the way and this Prime Sentinels are out of the way and all that shit, right? Like, it's now gonna be Magneto versus Xavier again, and it's gonna be the X-Men trying to protect humanity despite the fact that humanity hates them and blames them for all the problems, right?
Yeah.
The other thing too, like small thing, Trish Tilby, the reporter, was also a Prime Sentinel. You know, good riddance. Her and Beast were never gonna last anyway. And also Bastion kind of explains like the Genosha thing, like pretty much saying like Henry Gyrick shooting Charles Xavier is like it garnered sympathy for mutants, and that put a spanner in the works. Like my plan couldn't go through because now there's this sympathy. So now I let them build Genosha, which garners some feelings because people are like they feel a certain type of way about mutants living freely and having their own nation in the world, right? Especially a nation where mutants used to be subjugated. And so there's that, and then you build on top of that, and now you destroy it, and people don't really feel bad as much because like they feel like they deserve it in some way or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so,
well, it's just it all ties into Magneto's philosophy, and obviously know this a lot better than I do. I haven't, all I know is Magneto. Magneto think mutants do violence, be free. Charles Xavier, mutants do peace, be free. That's basically kind of like the dichotomy in my brain. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that, but that's how most people would see it. So when she says that, for most people, it just says like, oh, maybe the mutants need to rise up or something like that. So, yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like what those two differences in perspectives and philosophies, that's really what everything boils down to, right? Like, can mutants and humans coexist? And if they can, how do we make that happen? And if they can't, then what, right? That's the question. Then what? Magneto's solution, he's had many solutions. One of his solutions is, well, we need to fight back. We need to protect ourselves. We need to show them who we are and what we're capable of, which is what he did when he was on trial, right? And he used his magnetic powers to like bring the UN leaders or the trial leaders or whatever like to the fucking atmosphere and be like, look at what I can fucking do, okay? Like you cause these issues, not us. We're trying to protect ourselves against people who hate us for existing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one way he thinks about doing it. He's also literally used his magnetic powers to build a society on an asteroid where all mutants can live and leave Earth. Obviously, there's some bad actors that end up making it, so that the asteroid gets destroyed. But that's another path that he thought of is like, if we can't coexist, we just need to leave, right? So I think that's what the heart of the X-Men has always been. That's what the heart of that comic is like these different philosophies, and obviously we go way like inner fucking galactic and shit sometimes, and like things go crazy and all this stuff. But like at the core of it, it's like Professor X has this way of thinking, and Magneto has a different way of thinking, and you can't necessarily marry those two things. So, it'll be interesting to see what the next two episodes are. I mean, they're part 2s and 3s, so it suggests that like maybe Bastion will still be the guy, but I don't know. Yeah, it is an interesting one, and I'm very excited because the show has just been good and good and good and better and better. So, yeah, very, very excited for the final 2 episodes. But yeah, what was your favorite part of the episode?
Wolverine running around the sky beating up all those Sentinels is really fucking badass, dude.
It was really cool. I think
It was really
him
cool.
and Nightcrawler as a team was
Yeah,
probably.
they were kicking ass.
But
There's no
honestly,
doubt
the
about
part that made me feel the most, like,
that. Mm.
I think I'm on my man period because when Magneto was doing that shit, bro, like I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like it was really cool. Like, and I was getting a little emotional, like internally. I was like, oh my god, it's so cool. Like I almost teared up because of how cool it was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't
I'm
know why.
excited to see more.
Yeah. So
Definitely excited to see more.
yeah, coming up on Saturday. On Saturday we're gonna go see the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. It's gonna be cool.
Yep.
They're gonna show like
Badass.
they're gonna show an extended preview of the Acolyte during that, which I don't really care about. Me and you, Chair and I, we're not really trailer people that much.
No, we're not.
But that'll be there. And then Tales of the Empire also comes out on Saturday, 6 mini episodes. So we'll talk about that probably next week when we talk about X-Men 97. So yeah, cool stuff happening. Can't wait. Excited. That's it. Anything else? No.
Nope.
All right.
I don't know what to say.
Follow, like, subscribe, rate, review, do all those things. Chair has to go do something in Galaxies, right?
No, not today.
Oh,
No.
well.
It's just kind of taking a break from Star Wars. I'm not taking a break. I'm obviously playing right now, but I'm like decoring my interior of my ship because there's this cool squadron that I've been You know what roleplay RP is? I'm sure you've heard of that on the occasion.
Yeah.
I don't do any voice RP or something. A lot of people assume that when you do RP, like you get into a Discord chat and you start like pretending to be. No, we all do it over text and everything like that. There's this guy.
You text.
Like,
you do text RP.
yeah.
Oh.
I've never done voice RP in my entire life. Not a single time. It's all just text. It's descriptive text and writing.
Interesting. Do you do ERP?
Yeah. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Do I write smut? I don't know.
It's alright.
I was a young man on the internet.
Yeah, for people who don't know, ERP is erotic role play. It's like,
yeah,
like you're.
No, I haven't done any voice role play my entire role play, but I've been role playing for a long time since I was 14 or 13 years old.
You can ERP with text. I'm pretty sure it's called sexting.
Yeah, well, you can. It's called smut. You know, you write, you collaboratively write smut with another person. That's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
Because like role playing is just collaborative writing. But these guys, they role play this TIE Interceptor Squadron, and then like do it really cool, like, and they have like doctrine and stuff like that, and you know, it's just really cool. So I'm gonna be doing stuff where they're gonna come on my ship and search for smuggled goods.
Bro, that does sound like ERP. They're gonna come on your ship.
They're gonna come on board. They're gonna come all inside me. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, I guess this Magneto talk has really got you ginned up. So.
Are you ginned up? You're the one that went right into it, bro. You go, do you do ERP?
Well, I mean, that's the natural next question when you say I do RP.
No, it isn't. Actually, this question is, oh, how cool. I'm glad you have a great hobby. Not, oh, I bet you use it to be a pervert. You know.
Well.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys for anybody watching, listening, YouTube, Twitch, fuck Facebook. YouTube, Twitch, all podcast platforms. Listen, watch, do whatever you want. Much love. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.